Sure, it's getting warmer, but how do we know humans are responsible? I mean, hasn't it been warmer in the past? And then it was natural factors that were responsible, like changes in energy from the sun or volcanoes or natural cycles. What makes scientists so sure that it's humans this time? When we see the planet warming, we don't automatically jump on the human bandwagon. No, we scientists carefully examine every single natural factor to see if it could be responsible for the current warming. We go through each one of them starting with the sun. That's where all our energy comes from. And if the energy from the sun had been going up over time, it would have been contributing to our current warming. But that isn't what we see when we look at the data. In fact, the energy from the sun has been going down the last 50 years, not up. So if our temperature were being controlled by the sun, we'd be getting cooler, not warmer. What about volcanoes? Well, every time there's a big volcanic eruption, it turns out that actually cools the Earth for anywhere from a few weeks to up to a year or two for a really big one. Now, it's true that all geologic activity around the world, not just volcanic eruptions, but the gases that come out from active areas like hot springs and mud volcanoes and things like that, they do produce some heat-trapping gases. But the total amount of heat-trapping gases produced by all geologic activity around the whole world is equivalent to the heat-trapping gases produced by 3 medium-sized US states alone. What about natural cycles, though? Maybe we're just in one of those cycles where it's getting warmer. Well, when it comes to natural cycles, there's 2 kinds. The first kind happens inside the Earth's climate system. These are natural cycles like El Niño and La Niña. What these cycles do is they simply move heat around the climate system. They move heat from east to west, north to south, ocean to atmosphere, and back again. They can't create heat out of nothing. That would violate conservation of energy. They just move it around. So when we have an El Niño, for example, we have heat coming out of the ocean into the atmosphere, and our air temperature tends to be a bit warmer during El Niño years. During a La Niña year, it's the opposite. We tend to be slightly cooler than average because more heat is going from the atmosphere into the ocean. So natural cycles within the climate system cannot cause the entire planet to warm. Not when we see that the ocean is warming, the atmosphere is warming, the land surface is warming, the ice is melting. It cannot be a natural cycle. But there's a second type of natural cycle that occurs outside the Earth's climate system. This natural cycle is caused by changes in the shape of the Earth's orbit as it goes around the sun. Over time, the Earth's orbit becomes more circular and then more elliptical. Also, what happens is our axis of rotation precesses like a top. If you've ever spun a child's top, you know it goes around really quickly. That's like the planet going around once a day. But then it also goes like this more slowly. That's precession. And so that changes where the sun's energy falls on the Earth. Now, if our Earth were the same everywhere, if the whole Earth were ocean, or if the whole Earth were a desert, or if the whole Earth were covered in pine trees, then it wouldn't matter where the sun's energy hit. But because we have more land mass in the northern hemisphere and more ocean in the southern, then the angle of the Earth's axis does make a difference in terms of how much energy we absorb from the sun. It depends on the reflectivity of the Earth's surface. So we know that because of these changes in the Earth's orbit, becoming more circular and then more elliptical, and also the axis of rotation precessing, that leads to the cycles that cause the ice ages. That is why we have ice ages and warm interglacial periods like we're in today, because of changes in the shape of the Earth's orbit around the sun. So where are we in terms of these orbital cycles? Well, it turns out you know that we had an ice age about 20,000 years ago, and then after the ice age it got warmer, and that warming peaked about 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. And then the Earth started to very, very slowly cool, because the next event on our geologic calendar, according to orbital cycles, is another ice age, until just 2 centuries ago when all of a sudden our Earth's temperature started to go up like this. So we have looked at every natural factor, and every single one of those natural suspects has an alibi. Only then do we turn to looking at humans as a cause. And when we do, the answer is clear. We've known since the 1850s that digging up and burning coal and gas and oil produces heat-trapping gases that are building up in the atmosphere, wrapping an extra blanket around the planet. And just like you would if someone snuck into your room and put an extra blanket on you that you didn't need, you'd wake up saying, "Hey, I'm too warm, I didn't need this blanket." That's exactly what's happening to our planet. So not only have we eliminated every natural suspect, but there is no way to explain how we are wrapping an extra blanket around our planet and is not getting warm. It's very clear climate is changing and we're responsible. In fact, according to natural factors, we should be getting cooler, and instead we're warming faster and faster.